Perfect.
All right, y'all. So I'm back. Been on a little vacation through the holidays with my family, but we back at it. No worries. Got plenty of content to keep pumping out videos for y'all. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. Even if you remember where we left off, we're working on the 4-link. We got our top mounts on the axle sorted out. We got our top mounts on and our cross member sorted out on the rear. So now we got to start working on the bottom stuff. Got to start by doing a little bit of modification to the frame underneath so we can get our bolt placement where we want it. So, gonna get started with that right about now. Here. All right, so we got the brackets made for the front section of our link arm mount. Now, you see this black line right here? That represents the center line of where our hind joints are at the top, and obviously that's going to be exactly where I want the front of the link arm to be. Now, I thought I had it measured out just perfectly to where I could weld that mount to the bottom of the frame rail right here. And it would be, they'd be the same distance apart as the rear end. Now, what I would want is 25% of overall wheel and tire diameter to be the distance between the top and the lower link mount on the axle. That would have been 8 1/8 of an inch. I was not able to do that because of how I wanted to mount my link arms. Unfortunately, 9 inches was the best that I could do, which, I mean, it's not great, but it's, everybody has to deal with their bullshit, and I guess that's going to be mine on this particular project. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you that I knew exactly why it needed to be 25% of that. I don't know why that is. Wish I did. Be cool to know, but I don't. But that's what I've got back here. So I know just from previously doing things like this and other people that I know that do it, that you can have a little bit lesser on the front. Not really good to have lesser on the rear, but I am adamant that I will have mine the same on the front as the rear at the very worst. That way, at least my bars will be parallel to each other. Should ride nice. Should work out just perfect. Well, unfortunately, with where the upper link arms are mounted and with where the bottom of the frame works out, if I put that bracket on there, I'm going to be about 1/4 of an inch lower than what I need to be. Now, I can cut 1/4 of an inch off that bracket, but then I get into the bottom side of the frame rail. My nut won't really fit in there exactly where I need it to be. So, kind of puts me in a weird little gray area there. I mean, yes, technically, I could probably just weld the damn bracket on and probably be just fine. I've seen people do far, far worse and get away with it. But as y'all already know, that's just not going to work for me. I don't roll like that. I'm already backing up a little bit from where I originally wanted to be, and I'm not happy about that. But, sometimes, the job kind of dictates some things for us, what we have to do. So, I am still going to use that bracket. I'm just going to modify it a bit. But before we do that, I actually came up with a cool idea. So I measured the length of the bottom, or the width of the bottom of my frame rail is 3 inches. So I cut me a piece of tubing 3 inches long, I cut it in half, and I cleaned it up. And basically, I'm going to make a little baby C-notch. And I'm going to put it in right here. That way, my nut will clear. I'm going to cut my bracket that I made. I'm going to cut it where it will just kind of sit right in there against that. We'll weld it all in, and I'll be able to get this to the exact measurement that I wanted it to be. And it's just a little bit more fabricating. It's not the end of the world, but it gets me where I want to be. I'm happy. I'm still compromising a little bit with the differential on the back being a little bit larger than it should be, but at least my bars are still parallel and everything the way I want. Now, I'm sure somebody will post down in the comments or something and let me know that I'm absolutely doing this wrong, and the vehicle will never drive because I'm doing it this way, but whatever, it's my truck, and this is how I'm doing it. So, what I've got right here, this is a piece of 2-inch tubing. It's the same stuff the link arms are made out of. It is 250 wall, and essentially it is about 1 inch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 1 inch. Yeah, it's going to be 1 inch. So we're going to come up on this line right here, and I am going to mark where 1 inch is. All right. So I've got my center line right here. I've got 1 inch right there. So now essentially what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to get something that's flat. I'm going to stick it at the bottom. I'm going to sit this right here on it. I'm going to trace around it. That way I know where to come in with my plasma cutter, cut it out, cut 2 straight lines across with the plasma cutter. Should be able to sit this right up in there, burn it in place. Then I'll be ready to fit my bracket to the bottom. Now that's my thought process right now. So hopefully it'll all work out that way. That should give me well more than the 1/4 of an inch that I needed for bolt clearance. It just wouldn't clear the bottom of the frame rail. So should be able to put this in. Should work fantastic. So pretty excited about that. So I'm gonna get to marking this up. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find me a flat piece of metal. Ooh, that might work. That might work really nice. Now, I'm gonna need something. Ooh, wait a minute. These wood. Hey. Now we're cooking with sizzling. So I did go ahead and mark the center line on the piece of tubing. That way I get that dude in here as centered as possible. There, not so bad. All right. So obviously I'm going to do all of the same stuff on the other side, but I'll do it off camera. So you're just going to follow along for this side. So I've got my mark right here. Got her made nice and dark. So I am going to, what I might do is take a drill bit and drill a little hole right here. And that way I've got a place to start with my plasma cutter to work this thing around. And you see this other hole right here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take some cleaner. I'm going to clean this hole out right here. Once I cut this out, I'm going to go ahead and weld this hole up, weld it up solid. That way, once I come back in here, I'll be good to go. Actually, I may just weld it up after I get this all welded in place. That way I can just put all the heat in there while it's actually still kind of braced up. So I need to go ahead. Luckily, I've got the frame cleaned off good enough right here, so I don't have to do just a ton of grinding here. So I'm going to try to come on in here and make a straight line across here. From this side. That way I can see where to cut it underneath. Just happened there. What's going on under here? Oh, there's a hole in the frame under there. Well, there ain't gonna be no hole there in a minute. I tell you that. Now I'm just kind of going on the wing of prayer here that this is actually making a line. I hope it is. Oh, there's a hole there too. So now I'm going to go on the other side and I'm going to try to find where I marked that. That way I can kind of see it from the inside, because my goal would be the easiest way to cut this with a plasma cutter is going to be if I cut it from the inside and aim down, then finish it and come across from the outside. That's going to keep me from having to drill that hole I was talking about. So that's what I want to do right there. So let's see if I can get that all worked out, and then we'll get this guy set up in place. See what it looks like after we get it all cleaned up and set in place here. actually gonna go ahead and sweep all this crap off this floor now, because I don't feel like rolling around in it. So, be right back. Okay, so now, thought process is, I should be able to take something like this, quick grip it to the bottom of the frame rail. Of course that's not gonna work. I can still do it. Just gotta do it different than I thought I was gonna do it, that's all. So the thought process is that I will clamp this to the bottom of the frame rail and it will hold it nice and flat, and I should be able to set my little half piece of tubing, should be able to slide it right in there, and that should give me all the clearance I need to do what I want to do. So, oh yes. Alright, so I ain't gonna lie, the gap is bigger than what I had thought it would be. So now, I can do one of two things here. I can raise it up just a little bit more, or I can just fill the gap with weld and all will still be well. I might just do that actually. Yeah, I kind of like that actually. Because I can still come in there now. Bring my little angle over here. I did not. But you see right there, I'm gaining probably 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the frame rail. So that should give me the amount of room that I need to clear my nut. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna fire up my welder. I'm gonna go ahead, I need to measure across this. I had the center line mark, there it is. So make sure that this is centered in my hole right here. And then on the back side, I'll make sure that it's running parallel, up straight across. I'm gonna grab my welder right quick so I can come over here and tack this guy all in. I'll just go ahead and turn that off. That way to make sure to be good and dead next time I'm ready to use it. Alright, now, just gotta find, ooh, I got a little small square. Go get that. I keep these little squares in my wood shop. They're like perfect 90 degrees. They're small. They're just good to just go grab whenever I'm building a drawer or something like that. I actually think that would be perfect for this particular application. Let's see here. Oh yes, quite nice. I'm super happy with that. Yep, so right there, I'm ready to tack that bad boy in. I know it's running square across there. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. All right, so that will weld up really nice right there. So my next move now, I need to measure down, and then see how I need to, so I need to mark, where's my brick? So I'm gonna mark the center of this hole, right here. Then I will measure down from here to see exactly where that's gotta sit. I'll make a mark, that way I know what I need to trim off of this. So essentially, we'll cut our semicircle here, and then just go flat, and this will still sit all the way up there like that, if you're following me. So pretty excited about that. I think that'll work really nice. That's gonna work good. So now I just gotta set this up here, sort this out. I'm gonna kick this welder off real quick. Alright, so I know that center of that is 1/4 of an inch up from the frame rail. So what I'm going to be looking for is 8 3/4 of an inch. Which is going to fall. Ow! That kind of stabbed me a little bit. really nice. I'm really happy with that. That turned out really good. So see, like conceivably now, I could weld this all the way in and then come back and grind it where it fits the dead to the shape of the frame rail. Then I could come back and put my bracket on. You know what? I actually think I'm going to do that. Yep, I am going to do that. I'm going to go in and just finish weld this all the way in and then clean it up right here. Grind it to fit the frame rail so that it's actually all kind of done and finished. So then I can just kind of fix my mount here. That way it'll sit up in there the way I want. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I realized that throughout all of that, it wasn't the greatest angle, but it was the best that I could do because I'm just one man. So now, you get a little better idea what we're working with right there. Put my little baby C-notch in there. Now then, when you look from the side, you can see the clearance that we gained right there. So, I'll put my shoe behind you, see a little better. So right there, that gives me enough room now to modify this bracket right here, just enough. You see I got my center line of my hole marked. So now, just gotta modify that guy where it'll sit a little bit deeper and then we'll be good to go. So let's try to see if we can't sort this out and get this bracket modified so we can get her tacked in place. Well, so I did a little quick measuring off camera, which basically consisted of setting this up here, measuring down to the point where I needed, cross-sectioning it under the bottom of the frame there. It looks like I need to cut 1/4 of an inch off of this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch off of these wings right here, and I'm going to kind of round it up just a little bit so that it can extend up, so that this section in the center here can kind of extend up into our opening right here a little bit, because the thought process is that'll extend up. I can stick it all up in there. It'll kind of fill that, slide up into that hole there. Then once I get it to where the center of my hole lines up dead, hopefully it'll kind of fill our little C-notch we just did. I can burn it all in and have it flush with the frame right here, which will actually kind of increase our angle of our link arm just a little bit, which helps with triangulation and locating the axle just that much more. So now, I guess I'm gonna throw this up on the plasma cutter and try to hack it out right quick. Hopefully it comes out nice. It's difficult to cut little pieces like this that I've got these angles and stuff in them and whatnot. So I'm going to sit up here and hack it out, and I'll probably have to clean up a little bit with a grinder, but hopefully when we come back I've got something that we can sit in this hole and tack in place. So I'm going to jump over to the plasma cutter right quick, chop this out, and I probably won't film it. You've seen me plasma cut 100 times and do a little bit of grinding, and when we come back, hopefully this thing fits this hole where we can tack it in place. Alright, so I gave you a look at our little baby C-notch, and that's what it looks like underneath. So now you can see I got that little mark made right there. Now off camera I was kind of just playing around looking at it a little while ago, trying to kind of get an idea for how I want to play this here, and I can, because of how that is made, I can actually slide my bracket in just a little bit, which would help me kind of get my angle a little bit closer to match my angle on the top as well. A little more angle is just good for triangulation. Plus, kind of tucks it in under the frame just a little bit more. So now, where's my little bracket? Where is it? All right, so I got this guy right here. Now, this is not the first bracket. I did cut that first bracket out and I set it up there, and it would have been fine. I could have welded it in place, but it wasn't really deep enough to fit this really good. I could have filled it with weld. It would have been fine, but I just kind of didn't want to do that once I got down to it. So once I got to looking at it, because of how this frame rolls under right here, it did create that gap that you could probably see a little while ago. So I made me two more new brackets. I just whipped them up off camera right quick, and that way it fits to this circle a little better on the inside of this pipe, so that I can actually move it on under here 1/4 of an inch to where the frame is totally flat. Gives me a little bit more angle on my arm the way it'll sit in there. So now the way I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to throw you on a tripod so you can see what I got to do here. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Got my bracket, got my heim joint there. So basically, this, obviously I'm going to have a piece that's going to come out off the frame to make it double shear. But for now, for what we're working with, if I can bring this thing in 1/4 of an inch like that, like I said, you can see where it would give me just a couple more degrees of angle to help triangulate my my arm just a little bit more. That only adds strength to keep that axle from wanting to walk around. So now, what I'm going to do, I've got a piece of 1/4 inch steel right here. So I'm going to kind of sit that like this, and so that will have me sitting in. So watch me work. So I'm going to sit this where I can, actually, I got to go throw a center line on this right quick, straight through my my bolt hole. That way I can line it up with my center line here. So I'll be right back. Actually, I can do it right here. I'll just time lapse it. And we're back. Now, I've got my line drawn down my frame, marking my center line. So I am going to quick grip this kind of right up here next to it, where I can still see my line. Come on. All right, there's that one. I'm going to stab myself in the face with that. It's going to have to be that way though. Much as I hate it. Maybe it won't. Probably will, but maybe it won't. Alright. So, clamp this board nice and flat, flush to the edge of the frame rail. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to put this piece of 1/4 inch plate on the other side of it. Then I'm going to come in here. Now I know you can't see from that angle, but I've got my line lined up here. My 1/4 inch plate. Now when I clamp this to both pieces, I know that I'll be nice and flat to my frame rail. It should be exactly 1/4 of an inch in. And now then I got it held. Oh yeah, I can feel it right there. Should have brought a hammer or something so I could kind of tap on this thing to make sure I've got it where I want it. Gotta tap it back just a little bit. I do have a straight edge right here. Can't seem to pick it up. Oh yeah. Super happy with that. Now, I'm not sure how I can go about showing you this. I hope you can see it good from right there. This is going to be kind of a pain in the butt to kind of tack in place. Looks like I can get right in here from the center and I can tack it. Probably on each corner I can get it tacked there. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tack it now, and I'll pull all this crap back off so you can kind of see what we're working with. So let me click my welder on and we'll get some tacks put on there. All right, so now get you a little better look here. No, that is not the prettiest tack that I ever put on there, but I couldn't really get in there good. So yes, I'm aware it's ugly. Now, this gap, is not quite as huge as it might seem. It's kind of the angle. Okay, that one is a little bigger than I would like. This is because the frame is rounded right here at the edge. So I can fill that up, no problem. All that'll weld up nice. I will weld it from the inside and the outside. So that should be very, very strong. I'll probably throw another tack on there, somewhere like right in here. That way I just know it's kind of held on there good. And we can throw a bolt through it, throw a Heim joint in it, start kind of figuring out something for the outside of the mount for the double shear part of it. All right, so since that bracket worked out so swimmingly, we're back to the cardboard section. There's a bracket for the other side. We're back to the cardboard section that I know everybody just loves. Now, if I can figure out what I've done with all my measuring devices. There's my pen. Let me find all my rulers. All right, starting again. So, we got our inside portion of our frame mount all finished up, and it's all tacked in place. It's sitting there really good. I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. That'll weld up and be super duper strong. Now, obviously we're gonna do this double shear type setup. So I've already kind of come up with a rough idea of what I wanna do. Essentially, I'm gonna cut a big triangle, and part of it's gonna weld into the frame, and it's gonna bend down, and then bend one more time to, and I'll put a bolt hole there where the frame will go, where the bolt will go through it, and it'll all be welded together and it'll all be nice. I realize that is an absolutely terrible description of what I'm gonna do. So basically, watch, I'm gonna draw this thing out on some cardboard right here, take some rough measurements of what I think will work, and we'll just, I don't know, trial and error. I'm gonna stick it up there and we'll see if it works or not. So hang out and watch. So now you can kind of see, I'm gonna stick it to the side of the frame. I'm gonna bend this down. This will kind of bend over, just kind of give it a little more support. I'll take a look at it, and if I need to, I'll bend this little flat back too to give me just a little bit more support there as well. So right now I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna drill this hole out all the way up to 5/8. That way we can stick the bolt through it, kind of get a good idea for what we're looking like. So I'm gonna make this hole a little bigger, and then we'll come right back. All right, so let's see if this is gonna work. So I got my little nut on here right now, just kind of holding it all in place so I can kind of get a good look at all of it. So I do wish there was a way that I could kind of hold it snug, but there's not really. If I can prop it up on something. I doubt this is the right height. It's not. Hey, what about this? Negative, Ghost Rider. Alright, so I'll just have to wing it. So, got a little hole made here. Alright. So, in mine, I'm envisioning this something like this. Kind of sitting diagonal. It looks like getting the angle right will be the toughest part. And then, I mean, obviously, yeah, I could do something like that. That might be okay. That's actually not bad, really, if I make it out of 3/8. And then I wouldn't even need to fold that down. I'd have a good full weld right here. Nice double shear. This has more than enough room to move wherever it needs to. I actually kind of like that. Be good and strong too. I actually like that a lot. That might actually work just completely different, because see, the thing is, the force that's on this is not downward force. It's always, you know, front to back, maybe a little bit of wanting to turn up, you know, a little bit of turn down. But if I make this out of 3/8 like I did that other bracket, then really that is no problem at all. I think that'd be good and strong. I don't think that'd be a problem at all. Now granted, it's not fully boxed, but this isn't exactly a rock bouncer either. I mean, I actually really like that. I think I'm gonna just do that. Huh. Well, I had envisioned it kind of being, you know, all kind of crooked like that and everything, which would have looked really cool, but basically what I would have had to have done was make this longer and not put the whole dead center of the bracket to move it down here in order to do that. And still, I actually like that. I think that's going to be really good. Well, by pure accident, I think that's going to work out really, really good. Actually, honestly, it's about the same length as the other one. So I guess this is what I'm going with. So we'll go over, I'll transfer this over to some 3/8 steel and get it cut out. And then at some point, some kind of way here, I'm not exactly 100% sure how I'm going to figure out exactly what the angle is. Well, yeah, I can. I've got that angle finder that I can put on here. So what I can actually do is probably something like this. There. So now I can run that parallel. So I can just take my angle finder. I can come up and I can figure out what she needs to be. Good idea anyway. So I'll just kind of sneak up at it and go from there. I can always bend it a little bit and then fit it, and then a little bit and then fit it, and then a little bit and then fit it. But I think that's actually going to work really nicely. But it's by dumb luck that it worked out completely different than what I had thought. But I mean, we'll stick her up here and get a look at it anyway. But I think it'll be okay. I don't see any reason why it won't work. I mean, like I said, I'm using 3/8 steel. I'll weld it on both sides. I mean, I think it'll be good. So cool. Let's transfer that to some steel and get it cut out. Yowza. All right, well, there it is. I hated to kind of stop this one where I did. I made it longer getting into the second part of this mount, but it was already getting on to when I was trying to cover the next stage of making this mount. It was already like another 20-something minutes long, and I wasn't even halfway through with making the mount. So all that'll be in the next episode, but thank you for watching this one. As always, if you like the content, you feel like I earned it, throw me a subscribe. If not, keep coming back anyway. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe you do find something you like. It's a pretty cool project. If it's something that you're trying to do at home, I try to give you all the information that you need to see how I figured it out. So hope you like it, and we'll see you in the next one.